She's the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
Welcome, YouTubers and podcast listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart, and I am the Pushy Broad from the Bronx. Welcome to my show, Women Who Push for More. This is where I interview enterprising young women who tell us stories that inspire and engage us and make us all want to be women who push for more. This woman I'm extremely excited to interview because she is truly someone that fits that bill. If you have ever heard of America's Got Talent and you have heard of the most fabulous woman who is training a collie named Hero, then you know for sure Sara Carson. Women Who Push for More and the Pushy Broad from the Bronx is delighted to welcome Sara Carson. Hey, Sara, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I asked you to be on the show because Women Who Push for More really allows women the opportunity to get to know someone and how they achieved the success they achieved and what difficulties they've had along the way, including their triumphs. So if we can talk a little bit about growing up, I understand that's North Bay for you. Is that correct?
Yes, North Bay, Ontario, Canada.
Could you tell us a little bit what it was like growing up? Siblings, mom and dad? Talk about that.
Yeah, I grew up living in a divorced family, so I would go back and forth from my mom and my dad. My grandma did a lot of the raising, and she was extremely supportive of my dog training passion. It was always cold because it's Canada. And so we did a lot of activities indoors for the most part. But yeah, I didn't know anything about dog training until I got a Cocker Spaniel. I was about 12 when I started training him. I saw videos on YouTube. I thought it was super cool. So I just took it upon myself to try it out, and I ended up just falling in love with it. So I trained for many years until I wanted another dog. And at the time I was living with my mom and my stepdad and their kid, and they were not supportive of dogs at all. They got me a dog pretty much just to distract me and give me something to do, which was their first mistake. It started me on this journey of dog training. But yeah, they wouldn't let me get another dog. So I decided that if I wanted to train dogs, I had to open up my own dog training business. So while I was going to high school and working retail, I decided to open up, it was called Paws Up Dog Training at the time. I was about 15, and I was renting a doggy daycare after hours. And I started running that, and I grew that business from 4 dogs a month to over 40. And we did that for about 5 years. It was probably the most fun I've ever had. And I got to harness my abilities and train hundreds of different dogs and hundreds of different people. So that was, yeah, it was an interesting upbringing since I didn't grow up around dogs. I had never really worked with them previously. And it was a journey and a half right there.
Absolutely. Well, it certainly must have been a calling for you because it's rare when you have, only prodigies in a way start with something very young and continue them in that fashion. Here you were, I don't know, it said in previous interviews you had a dog maybe at 8 or 9 years old or 10 years old, something like that, which means to stick with that and to want to do something more with the dog is tremendous insight. So it's wonderful to have a kid play with a dog, but it's a whole other thing to have a child want to have the dog communicate with you in a way. Why do you think you wanted to do that? What inside of you said, I need to communicate with this dog on a whole new level? Where was that?
Well, honestly, it was the whole unconditional love and no judgments that really pushed me towards dogs. Growing up, I was a huge nerd. I was in band. I did theater. I didn't have that many friends. I think I can count on one hand how many people I hung out with. And so having this dog at home, every time I came home from school, he was always happy to see me and just happy to hang out with me. And he didn't like going on walks. He was pretty lazy, but like training in the backyard and doing tricks and agility and all of that kind of stuff. It was definitely like a nice bonding experience that I know that we both thoroughly enjoyed. So I think that's definitely why it pushed me towards dogs.
Really amazing. And like I said, for somebody so young to be so clearly focused and certainly have a head for business at 15 years old, it's fascinating to us because you see many kids decide to have a part-time job. You know, they're going to do a paper route or they're going to babysit or, you know, the normal route for kids to earn a little money. You went out there and got a position like that and then grew a business in sales that, you know, I mean, it's just an amazing thing, really. So did you gain some notoriety at that time for doing what you did?
It was really funny because whenever people would like, I would. This is so long ago that I would print out those sheets with the little pull tabs and put them up at grocery stores and all that stuff. And people would email me or call me. And I guess I always projected myself very well. But when they would show up to the doggy daycare, they would always go to the owners of the doggy daycare thinking that they were me. And now it's like, no, I'm right here sitting in this chair. I'm like, oh, wow, you're really young. Yes, I get that a lot. But yeah, I wouldn't say notoriety per se, but there was really nobody doing dog training at the time in my town. So I was the go-to. And I would say maybe by year 4, there was one other place that opened up, but they used different types of methods. That was very, very pure positive at the time. And that attracted a lot of business. But I was also just dealing with like pet dogs that really didn't have any serious problems. But yes, by year 4, there was a second dog training facility, but I was always full every single month. And then by year 5, I was offered a job in California to do performances with my border collie that I got around year 4. And I decided to sell all of my equipment, say bye to my clients, and move to California.
And that would have been what, 19 years old?
Yes, around there, yeah.
Around
I moved to California the day after I graduated college.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You mentioned in previous interviews the fact that you feel that you've always been a strong and independent woman. And that's a wonderful thing because here I am, Pushy Broad from the Bronx. So, you know, I feel that I'm a strong, independent woman, and I like to gravitate toward women who are like that. But you also talk about the fact that your upbringing in some ways made you a strong and independent woman. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, compared to other people, probably had an easy upbringing because my my mom just left me alone. But I just feel like I was pushed at a very young age to be independent. And that's what kind of gave me all of those skills to be independent when I left. So like, I don't know, I would have to walk to school every day. And it was one of those instances where it was definitely way too far. I lived way too far from the school to be able to walk, but it was like, if I lived next door, I could take the bus, but I didn't live next door. So I had to walk everywhere, snowstorms, rain, you name it. It was Canada, right? So the weather's not great, but yeah, I mean, I would have to work. I mean, I was running my business. I'd work for like lunch money so I could get that. My school uniforms were pretty rugged. I did go to a school that had uniforms and they were expensive, and my mom wasn't going to buy it for me. So I would always have to do like secondhand and just, I mean, I also feel like that plays into me not having that many friends because I was always like that weird girl who has like the oversized school uniforms and just eats lunch with the teachers and yeah, that kind of stuff. No, I definitely just feel like the way I was raised, which in my opinion was not proper at all, gave me the opportunity to be more independent, which made life easier when I lived in a car for 3 years traveling the United States. So I was prepared.
Let's talk about that. So, well, first of all, as a coach, I see people going in both directions, which means if you come from a situation, if you come from a family upbringing where maybe mom or somebody that is a key figure in your house is not giving you the kind of love and attention, affection as you need, then many children grow up with that deficiency and then pass that down. That's one way to go. But the other way to go is to turn around like you and say, if I'm not getting it from you, I'm going to try to get it either from myself and from what I do, like my dogs who provide, like you said, unconditional love, or from my grandmother or from my father. So you rose to the occasion rather than to diminish under the lack of. And
Yeah.
that's a marvelous thing because not everybody goes in that direction. So immediately at a very young age, you were a gal that pushed for more because you weren't going to settle for less than. And that's a
Yeah.
really good thing for us to know. And then the other thing you just said is a very interesting thing because you said at 19 years old, you packed up everything, you moved to LA, right? You moved to United States and you lived in your car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
So
talk about that.
so long story short, in Canada, it takes 3 years to get your driver's license. And I didn't get my driver's license right away, like all the other 16-year-olds, because my parents or my mom wouldn't give me lessons, and driver's ed was expensive. So I had to save for that. So I actually didn't get my driver's license until I was, I think, 21 or 22. And it was 21 because I came here at 19. I lived in the States for a year and I stayed in my boss's RV. And so I traveled with them. We did halftime shows, fairs, theaters with the dogs. And then after a year, I qualified to finish my driver's license in Canada. As I said, it takes 3 years, absolutely terrible. But so I bought a vehicle online. I flew to Toronto. I picked up the vehicle. I drove to North Bay. I did my driver's test and I straight up looked at that woman and I was like, if you fail me, I have to drive all the way to California and come back next year. So don't fail me. And then I drove all the way back to California. And I just remember my grandma, like she thought I was going to die. She's like, you've never driven by yourself before and you're going to drive all the way to California. But yeah, so I had to do that to get my vehicle. And then I lived in my vehicle for 3 years.
Okay. So that alone, that whole racing story from Canada to the US, that's a story and a half. But again, so you have your car. So you loved it so much that you thought you would set up house in it? Is that what you're telling me? It took you so long to get your license that you thought that it would be a good idea to just move into it?
Well, looking back, I probably should have got a van, but I got an SUV. And yeah, I mean, I have my dream van now, but I should have got the van, but I got an SUV. And the reason why I was living in it, a lot of people, like even on America's Got Talent, they painted like a really sad picture. Even though like the words coming out of my mouth were never sad, I was very honest about why I did it. But I did it because of, like, yes, I didn't have a home. I didn't know anybody here, but it was like almost like rock band type style. You drive all night to your theater, you load it up, you do a rehearsal, you do a show, you pack it up and you drive again all night to the next theater. And I did that for 3 years. We did theaters, we did parks, half shows, corporate events, we did everything, but it was a traveling circus pretty much. So it wasn't sad. I mean, yeah, there were some nights that I was sleeping in a parking lot, taking showers at truck stops, but most of the nights the theaters provided hotels and I was comfortable. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It honestly taught me how to live small. And then I bought a house and now I have way too much stuff, but it did teach me to live small and just be compact and have all of the essentials that you need for whatever.
Yes, I hear you. In fact, isn't that something like micro life or something, or you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand. So now that is a whole different thing because it's not it's maybe homelessness by choice, right? A floating vagabond. It's almost like a traveling circus.
Yeah, exactly.
From one place to the other. And I understand that because in a previous life of mine, one of my husbands was a musician and going from gig to gig just made it, um, conducive to that. So when you say travel, just one more thing here, you mean you traveled with your dogs in the
Yes.
car?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
And I
All right.
had 3 at the time.
Aha. Okay. So moving on, here you are in the United States. I guess you felt like everybody else that the place to get ahead was the US. Was that always your sights to begin with to come to the United States?
I mean, honestly, I didn't realize how small Canada was until like it was 2012. I was on David Letterman and I didn't know who David Letterman was. I didn't know what the show was. And they flew me there. We were on the show. I flew back and it was like a, I don't want to call it a life-changing decision, but like that did change my mind about where I wanted to be. because entertainment doesn't really exist in Canada all that much. I've been on all the talk shows in Canada, which is like 3. But besides the Calgary Stampede, there's really nothing entertainment wise in Canada. So I definitely knew that I needed to be here.
You needed to be here. And how long are you here now?
It's been 4 years.
And this seems to be where you're going to stay. You're applying for citizenship here?
So I've had my green card for about 1.5 years, and I think I'd have to have it for like 5 to get citizenship. And honestly, when that comes around, I need to decide if I want to do dual or just be American. And I don't know, it's one of those things. I have some family in Canada, but really I could go visit them even if I was American. So it's one of those things I need to decide.
Well, if you have the opportunity to retain dual citizenship, anything wrong with that? In fact, some Americans today are thinking, can I have dual citizenship in Canada? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not that I haven't thought about that in recent months. As much as last week, like the 4th of November or 3rd of November or whenever that was. Okay. So if I were you, girl, keep the dual. Okay. You never know. Okay. All right. So moving on, here you are in the United States doing competitions, right? And doing shows.
So, I mean, I guess I compete, but not as much as I perform and teach. Honestly, 2020 hasn't had anything happen because of COVID. But yeah, I've been just training dogs mostly. Yeah.
So you're a trick trainer as opposed to somebody like Cesar Milan, who I know you worked with a little bit, and that's, marvelous because he is, before you, he was like the god, okay, the person, and just so mild mannered, and the dog whisperer certainly, and so very, very famous. And to work with him and to have you help him out, what did you actually do for him?
So he was going to be doing a show in Vegas, and he wanted his youngest dog to dance. So he saw me on America's Got Talent and called me, and I'll never forget that phone call. I thought that it was fake. I was like, "This is you? I'm sorry. Who are you?"
And can I call you back? Can I call you back and make sure it's really you? Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And he wanted me to train Sophia to do a bunch of tricks and dance. So I took her for a month, and I taught her a lot of stuff. She's a brilliant little dog. I even asked if I could have her, and he loves her too much. It's not gonna happen. But yeah, and so he's been doing tricks with her and stuff for various shows, various TV shows that he's filming. And it's been really interesting because I definitely consider him a friend now. I've been over there several times now for lunch and just to hang out. And he's honestly the most genuine person. It's pretty crazy. I've never ever thought that I would just be going over to Caesar's and hanging out.
That's marvelous. So talk to us a little bit about what advice you would give women. First of all, did you find it difficult to break into this? I mean, you do something that very few people do. You're doing trick training. And except for what I have seen really back in the circus, way back, and the circus isn't even that anymore, you decided to go into something completely different, and you decided to break through here as a woman. So what advice can you give to women about what they have to do what you do?
Honestly, it's an interesting question because I'll just answer it how I want to answer it and go from there if I answer it wrong. But what I normally say to that is, if you want to do something, just do it. I mean, I pretty much broke up with half of my family because I wanted to do something that they didn't believe in. And it's been 9 years since I've spoken to my mom. So it's one of those things that if you really think that you have a passion for something, or if you know you're good at something and you love it, just do it. I have a degree in graphic design, but I knew that I didn't want to be a graphic designer. But my very supportive dad was like, I will pay for you to go to college just so you have something in case this doesn't work out. So I did do that for him. But it is helping me. Like, it was something I liked. It's just something I knew that I didn't want to do for a living. So if there is something you want to do, or you are in like a dead end job that you don't like, I always tell people to just jump in your car, fill up the tank and drive, and just see where you end up. And so many people are scared to do that, but that's what I did. And it's very rewarding.
It's rewarding to stand on the edge and then take the dive. Okay. There are many people that get to the edge because they
I
know
can't do
what
it.
they want to do and they get closer and closer. But there are still fewer and fewer people that do what you do and actually take the plunge.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing, no matter what. And you didn't let anything stop you from a very early age. And that's interesting. But in the beginning, do you think it was fueled by anger? Your strength?
So I wouldn't say anger, but I do remember, like, for example, my stepdad absolutely did not believe in me at all, thought that the dog thing was the most stupidest thing anybody could do. And I remember with my spaniel specifically pushing harder to get him at a higher level just to impress my stepdad. It wasn't anger. It was just like, it gave me more motivation to do better. And even to this day, like every time I do a TV show, I'm like, hey, mom, hi from TV. Because I know you're probably going to see this, even though you're not going to like it. But yeah, it's definitely a motivation. It's not anger at all. It just fuel for the fire.
Okay, and that's really good because carrying resentments, as we know, is not a way, and sometimes anger is a great motivator, but it doesn't last. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that there is no animosity in your heart.
Yeah.
You said you haven't spoken to mom in about 9 years. Has she reached out at all?
She wrote me a really nasty letter a couple of years ago. Other than that, no.
And you haven't reached back out to her?
No, I have no desire to,
Okay.
honestly.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're right. Sometimes we have to turn the voices off in our head of all the people on the outside world and just keep going to do what we're doing. And it's certainly paid off for you.
Yeah.
All right, we have to touch a little bit on one of your most amazing experiences, and certainly everybody knows you from that wonderful, what is it, 3 minutes or 4 minutes on America's Got Talent? Okay. You're a little like, I don't know, what was it, kind of like a peasant outfit or something? And I mean, really, first of all, it's amazing to see the resilience. And you must have been, were you scared to death? I mean, you're going in front of millions and millions of people. Here you are, forget the dog. I mean, you want the dog to perform, but Hero was so focused on you and it's wonderful. But here you are walking out on stage to first of all, the audience that could blow you away, and then millions of people. Were you calm? Were you collected, or were you nervous? Tell us about that.
Um, I was very, very nervous, and but it's hard because I'm nervous if I'm performing at a birthday party. Like it's the same type of nervousness. I've done a lot, like even like before America's Got Talent, I was already doing this. So it wasn't like it was my first time on a stage. I had already done this, even like independently.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the most nerve-wracking thing was being judged, because I don't do that. I just perform and people love it. So the hardest thing was the being judged. And then like I said, while I've been doing this journey, I've had a lot of people not believe in me or not understand it. So when the judges didn't understand it, that was hard.
Wow. It must have been
Yeah.
hard. It really must have been. And look, the best thing about it was no matter what, you appealed to Simon personally. You hit him right in the heart, which was pretty hard for Simon Cowell. Okay. The way
Yeah.
you won him over was emotional, which really was amazing. And the fact that he realized that what you were doing was vastly different from anything that he had ever seen. So that was really wonderful. So was that your most exciting experience on the show? Do you think?
I would say that was pretty exciting. I think the second most exciting one, you'll probably touch on this later, but I'll just dive into it. It was the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals was the Tomb Raider theme, and I had the most amount of time to prepare that routine. It was really, really fun. They changed a lot last minute on me, but the reason why that one was so special is because that was when I introduced my second dog. And nobody was expecting it, maybe except for a couple of my fans. And that dog was only a year old and he just killed it. It was just phenomenal. It was my favorite routine from the entire journey. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that was Loki?
Yes, that was Loki. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, first of all, they're both, Loki and Hero are border collies, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have a special affinity in my heart for border collies because my first dog was a border collie shepherd mix, and his name was Rusty, and I could swear he was a little boy. He was
Yep.
definitely a little boy. They understand, they have the greatest dog vocabulary that I know, and they are absolutely in tune with you. So the first thing that attracted me to you was the fact that you were training border collies, because I knew how smart those dogs are and how agile they are and how much they want to just love you. It's
Yeah.
really unconditional love. So tell us about Hero. Is he still alive? How old is he? Is he around?
Yeah, so Hero's 9. He just turned 9, and he's mostly doing like commercials and TV. Not too many live shows now. It's just a little slower. He's doing great, honestly. Yeah, he's perfectly fine.
It's so funny when you say he's kind of retired now to the, to the commercials, and he's not taking the jobs that have him come out live, and he's not, he doesn't have to perform anymore up close and personal. That's really funny. That's so funny. And tell us about Loki.
Yeah, so Loki, he was adopted when he was about 4 or 6 weeks old. The vet couldn't tell me. I found him in Oklahoma, and I actually didn't post about him publicly until I knew that he was going to live, because that's how rough of shape he was in at the time. He had 30 ticks, fleas, worms. He's a little disaster. But like I said, he was a prodigy, honest to God. He was just phenomenal. He learned things so quickly. He was going to be the next hero. Like he was better than Hero in so many ways. And then we did America's Got Talent. And after America's Got Talent, for that next whole year, we went on tour, because obviously America's Got Talent. And we did theaters and just like bigger events than we'd done previously. And on the way home after tour, Loki got sick. He was about 2. And we didn't know what it was. And I thought that it was just like something giardia or kennel cough or just something easy. And all those tests came back fine. And he quickly, progressively got worse. He started developing sores on his body. He started not wanting to eat. He started like just lethargic. It got pretty bad pretty quickly. And I started taking him to specialists and getting all of these tests done. And finally, I was up to about $25,000 when I decided that I couldn't do it anymore. And we got a little bit of financial aid for that and did more testing. And by the time he turned 3, he was just not the same dog. I did manage to put him on a steroid for 6 months, and he was able to perform a little bit and do some of the things that he loved. But it was just after that 6-month mark, the steroids stopped working and he just went down. So he passed away just before turning 4.
I'm so sorry. Did they ever diagnose what it was?
No, I'm going to assume it was an autoimmune disease. But we tested for all of them. At one point they thought it was Lyme disease. So we tested him for Lyme, and the doxy almost killed him. So we the doxy, and then he like bounced back right away. And yeah, we'll never know what he had. But as you kind of heard, he had a rough start in life anyways. So I don't want to say it was bound to happen, but it like something in his environment triggered whatever it was. And that's just how it was supposed to end.
Well,
Yeah.
you gave him a lot of love, a lot of affection, and a lot of the spotlight. And in his short life, he had a sensational one.
Yeah, he really did. He was
Yeah,
a very
went out
special
with a
dog.
bang. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I've always wanted to know this, and I've always wanted to know this from trainers and like yourself. Okay, I'm a dog person. I'm also a cat person. Is that okay to say to you that I'm a cat person? Is it, if it's okay? Oh, you're a cat person too. Who is that?
This is Goose.
Goose.
He's
Okay.
pretty much a dog.
Oh my God, he's adorable. And he's okay with all of the dogs there?
He loves the dogs. I've taught him several tricks.
Really?
Oh, he can do so many
Oh,
things. Yeah.
he can? Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So, we're going to talk about your new app, and you need to know that one of the places to go now is to do the same app for kitties. Absolutely. Because every single cat person on this planet will want to do those tricks. So just that's your next thing, okay? That's your next thing. He's adorable. So I know, Barbara Woodhouse always said there were no difficult dogs, only inexperienced owners, right? And, you know, I mean, they narrowed it down to no bad dogs, only bad trainers. Okay. That's what that, you know, colloquialism became. Do you agree with that?
So I don't.
Okay.
I think that if she changed the verse, then I would. But there are definitely difficult dogs. I have one in the garage. Her name is Marvel. She is a genetic disaster, and I've trained her to the point where she can be around other dogs, but that doesn't change the fact that she wants to kill them. So like if I wasn't there with her and she was with somebody else, then she might just do what she wants to do. But there's definitely difficult dogs. What there isn't is like stubborn dogs. Like, oh, he's just stubborn. Oh, he's just lazy. No, you're not training your dog. So that's what I would change that to is there's no stubborn dogs, just not so trained owners.
I Okay. All right. All right. So, do you think that that you have busted through the glass ceiling? Do you think that you're a woman that stands out in this entire profession as one of the
I
few?
mean, yeah, in this profession and in my little circle, everybody does know who I am, which is kind of cool. But I feel like there's so much more to do. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is I don't like people that say that they've mastered dog training because dog training is such a broad thing. Like I could say like I've mastered trick training. I could teach a dog anything. But I'm not very familiar with, I don't know, like nose work or I mean, I had somebody over here yesterday teaching me some agility, and I've been doing agility since I was a kid, but I'm not a master at it. I don't know everything there is to know. So it's definitely like maybe I've broken through in my little niche, but there's so much more to learn, and I do love every aspect of training dogs. So I'm definitely always learning.
So, being such a public figure, do you find that this comes with inherent stress and
Oh
anxiety?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No matter what, right? I mean, you've opened for the, you know, you've done NFL halftime. You've done, I mean, NBA halftime. I mean, you performed in front of crowds. What makes it so anxious and stressful for you? Tell us about that.
Um, so it's everything that happens outside of performing. Like I love performing. That's my drug. I love the audience. I love the atmosphere. It's when you get off the stage and everything that happens off the stage is what's stressful. I mean, I get people saying that my dogs are abused. I get people saying that I'm a terrible human being. Just it's well, obviously, the internet makes a lot of stress and anxiety and depression happen. But yeah, everything outside of my dogs and my house and my stages, that's where all of that comes from.
Ah, so that keeping up with the celebrity and what the world has to say provides the
Mm,
stress and anxiety. I understand.
totally.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
The more you get into the limelight, the more you decide to do this dance, so to speak, with social media, it becomes a very difficult thing. So if you ever need a coach around it, you know who to call now, right? But
I do now.
honestly, yes, honestly, understanding that what other people think of you, and I tell my clients all the time the same thing, what other people think of you is none of your business, right? But I have heard from many of my clients that the weight of the social media pressure and what other people are thinking can be a very stressful situation.
It is. Yeah.
But you know who you are, you know how you treat your animals, you know how you handle your life, and if you continue to walk in the light, nobody can touch you in a way. Haters, like they say, like your generation says, haters are always going to hate, right?
Yeah.
Haters going to hate, no question. Okay, all right. So moving on, let's talk about what's happening with you now, right? You said COVID, unbelievable, and in fact, maybe this is the time for people to get pets. How do you feel about that?
I mean, just as that as a topic, I don't think people should be getting dogs right now because your life is going to go back to normal. And then that dog is going to have separation anxiety. It's not going to have training to be left alone. They're calling them pandemic puppies. And I think it is the worst thing that has happened in a long time.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that, and that's a good message for my listeners because you're not advising that as well. Do not get a puppy at this moment. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah, I suggested to people because I've had a few people ask me because they do respect my opinion. And honestly, I tell people to just foster a dog for 6 months, get them a home experience, let them find a forever home somewhere else, and just like help the problem, don't add to it.
And that's if you're not someone like me who, once they get the foster pet in their house, will never let them go.
Foster failure.
Right? What do you mean you're going to take this dog from me? Oh no. Yeah, the same thing with the cat. I lost my Tigger 2 years ago, and he was 21. So
Oh my
he
goodness.
was 21. Yes.
Oops, did you hear that?
Yeah.
20 more years, buddy? Oh my goodness.
It was the longest relationship I ever had.
Yeah.
2 ex-husbands combined, and he was still the longest relationship I ever had. So and I miss him every single day.
Oh
So,
my
and
goodness.
I'm a great fan of dogs as well. My first dog, Rusty, was a border collie, and my second dog was a Sheltie, and they were all male. I had males all the time. Do you work with females, by the way, or just?
I have one. I don't like female dogs.
That's interesting. So males are more receptive. Tell us about that.
I just feel like females are very independent and they can be pretty bitchy. Hey, wow, it sounds like me. But
It's so
yeah,
funny. Oh my God.
yeah, I love my boys. Yeah.
Wow. So females are really bitches who push for more, right? That's female.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I noticed, right? All of your dogs are male.
Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. So now tell me about the new app you're working on and then where you're going from there. Tell us about Puppr.
Yeah, so Puppr came out just as my America's Got Talent audition aired in 2017. So the developers reached out to me. They had already had the app built. They just didn't have a trainer. And so I partnered with them, and they're the best partners I could ever ask for, Alice and Michael. They are the brains behind the operation, and I'm just the face. But it's doing phenomenal. We started with just photos, and then we moved to videos, and then we have some really, really big and exciting things planned for the new year. We just released a new lesson pack last month, and then we have one coming up this current December next month. But yeah, we're constantly adding to it. It's been featured as app of the day several times in the past couple of years. It was featured 3 times in 2020 alone, probably because everyone's home with their dog. But it's just a really user-friendly, effective app. We also offer a subscription so people can subscribe to the app and literally get one-on-one help 24/7. It's really great.
And that's where you're going in 2021. And then hopefully when things come back to normal, out touring again, what's that going to be like?
Yeah. So I'm trying to devote a lot of time to Puppr. It's Puppr if people are interested. But I'm trying to dedicate a lot of time to it just to build it even more because it's definitely my future. Performing, I would like to do a little more. My new dogs are young. So it was actually good to have a year to work with them and get them just to a higher level and ready to perform in front of an audience. I'm doing a lot of board and trains here at my place, which keeps me busy. But ideally, I want to start slowing down. As funny as that sounds, I'm only 26. I've been doing this for 15 years. So
you're an OG in this industry, okay? I mean, really, you started at 8. Is that 15 years? Really? My goodness.
I count when I started my business, but yes, it's just I've been doing this a long time. And I've trained a lot of dogs. I've performed on the most, the highest stages. I don't want to say I feel like I've done it all, but it's definitely not the same feeling as when I've done it the first couple times.
And maybe a book on the horizon?
I mean, that would be very fun. Wink, wink. Yeah, we'll see about that one.
Yes. And then, you really could go, like I said before, remember, you have to remember, Pushy Broad said cat training. Okay, cat. That would be amazing.
We'll see. We'll see.
Absolutely.
I don't consider myself an expert in that field yet, but we'll see.
Right. Well, I had mentioned to you before we started here that I consider myself a pushy broad because it's and I'm actually going to change the Urban Dictionary definition of pushy broad because that definition I can't even repeat on air. But I have associated pushy broad with powerful, unafraid, self-aware, hardworking, young at heart female. So, Sara Carson, do you consider yourself a pushy broad?
I think I consider myself a pushy broad now.
That's fantastic. I am so glad, and I wish you the greatest success and endeavors, and that you and your family and your new husband, right? You are practically a newlywed, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, and your family a healthy, happy holiday season. And I so appreciate your coming on to Women Who Push for More. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening. And remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, New York.